Hey everyone, I'm back, this time with my other sidekick Ember, not as trusty, more cat-like. But we were so glad to see the positive feedback from the first video, so we are going to do another virtual wildflower walk. It is now April 10th, so it's been about a little over 2 weeks since the last video, and the twin leaf and the bloodroot and the cutleaf toothwort are done now. They are completely finished. The Dutchman's breeches, the bluebells, the violets, those are now in peak full bloom and are absolutely gorgeous. But we also have a lot of new stuff to take a look at today. So let's go.
So today's walk is going to start right outside my front door at this beautiful flowering tree. This is a red bud. There are species of red bud found throughout the world. This is the one that's native to eastern North America, Cercis canadensis. And it is a small understory tree. It can also be cultivated as a shrub. It's very tolerant of shade, but it can also thrive in the sunlight. And this tree is positively buzzing with bees right now that are happily feasting on the nectar from these flowers. But we're going to get up a little bit closer to them and check them out. For those of you that know me and know about my allergies, fear not, I have my EpiPen right here just in case. Here we are close up to the beautiful pink flower clusters. So these clusters look like they're coming directly out of the branch, and all of these flowers bloom ahead of the leaves. These flowers are not only edible for the nectar for the bees, they're actually edible for humans as well. They are said to have a green bean-like taste with a little bit of a lemon kind of sour aftertaste, but are quite pleasant. I saw recipes for pickling these, putting them in the baked goods. I will just leave them for the bees. Before we move on to our next flowering species, I just wanted to take a little detour on this walk and show the 24 baby red buds that I'm growing for sale at the PVAS native plant sale in September. So we've made our way around to the backyard, and we are going to be spending a significant amount of time examining this hillside. There's just amazing diversity of wildflowers out here. And it comes from just the rich soils, the moisture, being near the river, and the nice shade. It just sets up for some really great conditions for these native species. As promised, we are checking in with the twin leaf again, and you can see that there are no longer flowers, but look at how big these leaves have gotten. And it is still such a beautiful, beautiful plant. And right under this twin leaf, or right off to the side, is another pretty little flower. This is Rue Anemone, and it has, what's really cool about it is these leaves that are in a whorl pattern right beneath the flower, which is how you can identify them from the false Rue Anemone. Here we have Minion posing by one of my very favorite wildflowers. This is the Dwarf Larkspur, and I just love it because it's just so unique and it's purple. So you see a lot of white flowers, a lot of pink flowers out, but these have this true deep purple. These are in the genus Delphinium. Fun fact, the Greek word Delphis, where Delphinium came from, means dolphin. So they thought that these flowers kind of looked like dolphin faces. Maybe if you squint really hard, I'm not sure. But they are just so cool and different looking, as you can see here. So these are pollinated by long-tongued bees, but may also be visited by hummingbirds or swallowtail butterflies, actually. Here we have a beautiful little patch of Toadshade, which I think is a horrible name for this really pretty flower. It is in the lily family. The scientific name is Trillium sessile. So trillium, tri, means 3. So everything occurs in threes, 3 leaves, 3 flower parts, 3, 3, 3. And sessile is Latin for stalkless. So if you look closely at this flower, it is coming directly out of the leaves, and there is no flower pedestal. So that's what sessile or stalkless means. Now these flowers are very difficult to transplant, although you shouldn't do it anyway because they're wildflowers. They grow from rhizomes, so they form these colonies and they slowly spread out over time through the rhizomes. But very pretty, very unique. These ones are a little past peak, so their flowers are not as bright of a maroon as they are when they're at peak. I love, love, love this flower. And yes, it is a flower, even though it looks pretty weird. And it's not as showy as some of the other flowers. But this is Jack in the pulpit. And it is a hooded flower. So this hood right here is called the spathe. So it's the pulpit. And if you look inside the pulpit, that's the spadix, that's Jack. So Jack is in the pulpit. It takes 5 years for this plant to produce the flower. So we've left the backyard and we are now out in the meadow again. And we're going to be taking a look at some of the tiniest of tiny wildflowers that are showing up out here. But first we've paused at our bloodroot from the last video to take a look at what it looks like now. So the flower is gone and all that's left is the leaf, and it is super cool looking. Here we are laying among the tiniest of the tiny wildflowers out here in the field. There are several non-native species out here, such as this one, which is the red dead nettle. These little blue flowers you can see right here, which is ivy speedwell. These little white flowers that are common chickweed. So I'm not going to cover those in any more detail, but there are a couple of native flowers out here that I wanted to point out. And I brought a penny along so you could see the size of the flowers that we're talking about. So here's the first one. This is the field pansy, and it is in the violet family, so its scientific name is Viola bicolor. It can actually be blue, yellow, purple, or white. Here I have a whole bunch of white ones, as you can see in the distance. The next flower I want to talk about is right here. And this is an Indian strawberry. So again, you can see the penny next to it. See just how small of a flower I'm talking about here. This species is actually debated as to if it's native to North America or not. Some people think it was introduced from Eurasia. And this will produce a strawberry-like fruit. It is sometimes called the fake strawberry or mock strawberry, because the strawberry-like fruit it produces was actually evolutionarily independently derived from the strawberry that we know. So they're not related. They evolved the same looking fruit totally separately. And this fruit is not the sweet strawberry that we know. Actually, it's been known to be the tasteless strawberry. However, it is edible. There have been rumors of its toxicity, but you can eat it. It just doesn't taste very good. And the last species I want to talk about while we're out here amongst the little flowers is another yellow flower, and this is a non-native species. So this is the dandelion. Every part of it is edible. The flower, the leaves, the root, and it's said to have many health benefits. They do have a ton of vitamin A and K. But obviously a lot of people don't like these. They see them as very weedy, and what makes them so weedy is that they can actually produce seeds without pollination. So they can just reproduce asexually and make genetic copies of itself. So it does not take a whole lot of dandelions to take over your yard. It actually only takes one. But if you don't want to eat these, they do have benefits to bees as well. They are one of the earliest sources of bee food. However, it's misconstrued. Bees cannot survive on dandelion nectar alone. Actually, they cannot produce offspring with dandelion nectar, but it does provide an early source of nectar until those other flowers do emerge. So, if you can, leave your dandelions alone. Alrighty, here we are at our last species. I'm going to wrap up this video the way that we started it, with a gorgeous native flowering tree. This is the flowering Dogwood Cornus, Florida. Its roots have been harvested by Native Americans, and they're dried and ground into a fine powder and used to treat fevers. So it was a substitute for quinine, especially during the Civil War. This tree is a larval host of the spring azure butterfly. And let's get a closer look at those flowers. Here we can get a good look at dogwood flowers. And I say flowers plural because actually we are looking at more than one flower. The 4 white petal-like bracts are not what make up the flower. It makes it look like it's one flower, but the flowers are actually, there's a whole cluster of them right in the center. And it's deceptive. So you think you're just looking at one flower, but actually you're looking at a whole bunch of them.
Thank you for joining us on another virtual wildflower walk. I hope you all have enjoyed this one as well. We certainly have enjoyed showing you around our place and learning more about the flowers. As always, shoot me your comments. Questions are welcome, though I can't promise I can answer them. And share any knowledge that you have about some of the flowers that I've covered, or maybe some that I haven't covered. We all like to learn. Thank you. Stay safe and healthy.